Good evening, my fellow human beings. We are live. It is Saturday, August 25th, 2012. And I am your host, Eli King, and this is Live Free or Die. And I thank you for joining me for this very truthful news, alternative news episode that I hope so many people are watching and are being educated with the truth, unlike the mainstream scumbag media likes to dish out. Let's get started with news. I love the news. I love the real news. This one is called, this is from the OC Watchdog, the Orange County Watchdog. And this one is, man arrested for beating possum, wins right to sue. Yeah. When Lorenzo Oliver called Anaheim police about the possum in his backyard, he didn't know that he would end up going to jail. But Oliver and his then 12-year-old son were hauled away in March of 2008 on suspicion of trying to kill a mother possum with a shovel, sparking a landslide of hate mail and death threats over what turned out not to be a crime in the first place. That's right, he found this possum in his backyard. It came at his child in a threatening manner, so he clobbered it over the head with a shovel, didn't even kill it, and called 911 about the thing. Animal control came over, said the possum was being abused, or had been abused by this gentleman, Mr. Oliver, and they hauled him off to jail for abuse of a possum. Now, when they finally figured out that there's no law on the books for beating a possum in your backyard, they had to let him go. So now this guy is suing. And the reason why I report this is because we are being dehumanized, where people care more about animals than human people. For instance, this shooting with the dog that happened a couple of weeks ago. The NYPD shot a pit bull dog on 2nd Avenue and 14th Street, right in front of the Kentucky Fried Chicken there. And so the dog comes to take a chunk out of the cop. The cop pulls out, bang, puts one in the dog, and what do the people start screaming? Oh, the poor dog. Actually, let me get to the beginning of the story. There's a guy lying. He's dying on the floor. That's his dog. The dog is trying to defend the master, thinking that they're trying to harm him. But the guy is dying. So the cop shoots the dog because the dog doesn't know what he's doing, and the people are screaming, oh, what about the poor dog? What about the guy who's dying on the floor, you fools? This is what I'm talking about. People being dehumanized, worrying about a dog over a human being. It's like Dave Chappelle said, you walk down the street, you see a homeless man and a dog, you feel bad for the dog. That's what this society has become. Dehumanization, and we care more about animals than our own human beings, our people. All right, let's go on to this. I actually don't have this article in front of me, but everybody knows about this Empire State Building shooting that the mainstream media came out and said, oh, it was a mass shooting. This guy went out there and bang, 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 tried to kill everybody. Actually, the perpetrator only shot one person, and the other 9 people, the police actually shot. That's right. The NYPD shot 9 people. It wasn't the guy. Maybe the NYPD needs lessons in gunfire, gun training 101. Now, I'm not really criticizing the NYPD. I mean, a guy pulls out a gun, you know, you're under a lot of pressure. You got to pull your gun out and defend yourself and defend the people. Me personally, I would have shot the guy once in the head, and it would have been over. But, yeah. But had they killed a dog, they would have been in an uproar. Forget about it. All right, let's move on to our next story. This is from Sean Helton from PlanetInfowars.com, the social networking site that I like to visit, of course. This one is called How Fluoride Was Sold to America and How We Brought It. If you don't already know, the sodium fluoride that is being put in our water is actually killing us. It destroys our bones, it gives us dental fluorosis, and it actually increases cavities. But let's go back to the root and how this all started. In 1931, the Aluminum Company of America, ALCO, under the direction of Andrew Mellon, the Mellon Institute, conducted fluoridation tests through the Public Health Service, PHS, by dentist H. Tenley Dean, who coincidentally was the first director of the National Institute of Dental Research. Dean found that as fluoride levels began to rise, so did percentages of dental fluorosis. Dean claimed his test results lowered cavities, even though it was just the opposite. Dean promoted the falsified findings and eventually became known as the father of fluoridation. Andrew Mellon, who held considerably authority as acting U.S. Treasurer, put pressure on PHS to push the fraudulent tooth decay agenda. So this goes back to 1931 with Andrew Mellon. Came up with this fake theory how fluoride is good for us. Gee, if fluoride is so wonderful for us, then the Nazis were nice, because they gave the Jews in the Holocaust fluoride in their water. I guess they were trying to help their bones and stuff like that, you know. They were looking out for them, make sure they don't get any cavities while they were starving to death in the Holocaust camp. All right, moving on. Our next story comes from Kurt Nemo, Infowars.com, of course. Brandon Raub, persecuted for telling the truth about the Federal Reserve. If you did not hear, this former veteran, this Marine veteran, basically was almost disappeared via the National Defense Authorization Act. That's right. The Secret Service, the FBI, showed up in plain clothes while they had the county police department go in there and scoop him up over some Facebook post he made. Now, the mainstream media came out right away and said, oh, they were violent, they were threatening posts. So I went and I found these posts. And actually, they were not threatening at all. All he did was break down the history of the Federal Reserve and how this country has been taken over by foreign banksters. That's all he said on his post. This country belongs to Thomas Jefferson, Dr. Martin Luther King, John F. Kennedy, not the Rothschilds, not the Rockefellers, not the Harrimans. And they put him in a psych ward 3 hours away from his house. This is in Virginia. And luckily, a judge released him because there was no crime committed and he could not be held. They basically put him in the hospital because he went out and said 9/11 was an inside job and the Federal Reserve is not so federal whatsoever. They're as federal as Federal Express. They're a phony entity that gives out fraudulent paper fiat, and they tax us hard for it. Okay? Let me read an excerpt from this article. It's in regards to the NDAA. The NDAA is not about Al-Qaeda and terrorists. It's about those of you who dare to tell the truth. If the government considers you a threat, like they consider Brandon Raub a threat, they may send out the secret police or political police and disappear your ass. After the economic after the economy collapses, a collapse engineered by the Federal Reserve and the international banksters who run it, and their social chaos, the government may forego the relative nicety of a mental ward and put a bullet in your head. So when it comes down to it, when they have no more room in these camps, or you refuse to be re-educated, they will give UN troops and basically young US troops orders to put bullets in our heads. So I beg of you, military personnel and anybody who took an oath, swore an oath to uphold and protect our Constitution against enemies foreign and domestic, that you remember that oath when it comes time. All right, let's move on. This is from Susan Postle. the manufactured U.S. veteran threat against Obama that will justify martial law. Forget about Al-Qaeda and state-sponsored radical Muslims. The newest boogeyman that the U.S. government wants the American public to fear are our own U.S. veterans. That's right. You see people like Brandon Robb, who has waken up into the truth about how our corrupt system, or the corrupt banksters run this government. They may just, start a civil war with this. One idea or one factor that they bring up is that they have these white supremacists join the army, and because they're preparing for a race war against the Zionists. They call them the Jewish movement, who supposedly run this country. If they do, hey, all I know is evil bastards are running this country, and it all starts at the Federal Reserve and the IRS, which began in 1913. So now the new target, or the new Al-Qaeda, are the returning veterans. That's actually the #1 threat on the Homeland Security list, Department of Homeland Security. And you know who runs that department, Mr. Napolitano, Janet over there, who likes to put up apartments and give jobs over here in New York, which the New York head of the Department of Homeland Security is actually filing a lawsuit against her because he has been discriminated against. He has worked hard, and what does she do? No, she brings in her girlfriends and puts them in high positions and sets them up with apartments and nice jobs. That's your Department of Homeland Security, okay? Mr. Napolitano there. So, don't believe this whole hype. Watch out for the fake Obama assassination attempt that they may try to provocateur to start a race war, okay? My message is of peace. I do not condone violence unless it is for self-defense, self-preservation, okay? My revolution is a peaceful information revolution. You must be informed. A revolution doesn't have to be violent. Let's take some calls. 212-245-7273. Give me a call. 212-245-7273. We are live. It is Saturday, August 25th. Get your words in. All right. Next story. Geriatric Patsy sentenced to prison following FBI entrapment. 2 elderly men, the feds insist are dangerous terrorists, have been sentenced to what may amount to death sentences. That's right. These guys, 73-year-old Frederick Thomas and 68-year-old Dan Roberts, were sentenced to the maximum allowed under the plea agreement that they had reached with the government. Now, these patsies were set up by an FBI informant who is a sexual offender who sexually molested his stepdaughters. And to get out of that, to get some time taken off from his sentence, he tells these old fools that, yeah, let's go bomb some government buildings and stuff, and and he gives the info to the FBI, and now these old guys are doing time. What a shame. If you were calling, give me a call back. So, yeah, get this straight. 70-year-old guy and a 68-year-old guy are going to take down the government. They get 5 years because they get set up by a sexual offender, so he can get some time taken off of his sentence. All right, caller, you are on the air. State your name and where you're from.
What's going on, Chief? I'm actually from New York City, Manhattan.
Talk to me, brother. What's on your mind?
Hey, you tell me, man. What's your show all about, man?
My show
turn
is
you on
about
right
the
now.
First Amendment and understanding and knowing the Constitution and knowing that the mainstream media like Fox, CBS, ABC, they all lie to you. They feed you propaganda to brainwash you. Okay? Do you want to know anything else, sir?
I think you've been brainwashed.
Yeah, I've been brainwashed. That's why you're watching the show. You love it, huh? Enjoy it. I've been brainwashed. Why don't you go to YouTube and type in WTC number 7 and watch how they exploded, basically, in broad daylight, building number 7. Nobody really knows about building number 7. We'll do a 9/11 show soon on the anniversary, but nobody really knows about building number 7. Okay? They only look at the first 2 buildings. We have another caller. Caller, you are on the air. State your name. You're from, please.
Hey, I'm George from New York. How you doing, my man?
I'm good. Talk to me, brother.
Listen, man, you have a great show. Keep it up. You know, you're one of our warriors for truth, like Alex and the rest of the guys. But let me tell you something. They're still screwing with your sound. Now, you don't have too much distortion, but your volume is very low. So I've been watching TV now since 3 o'clock and just checking out the scene on Manhattan neighborhood. And it appears that all the black guys are being distorted, but, you know, other people are not being distorted. They're coming through loud and clear. So there's something wrong with the guy who's running the audio. You know, he doesn't know what he's doing, or he's actually doing stuff that's, you know, affecting these shows. I noticed the first show on about 3 o'clock was about, oh, Jesus, what was the name of that?
Hey, I
Jesse
appreciate
Ventura,
the
that's
call,
what it was.
George. I've noticed this too. This is why I have to record the show in the studio, because on my cable box at home, it comes in all laggy and distorted and the audio breaks up. And I talked to the Manhattan Neighborhood Network about this. They claim they're updating the system. But we all know it is the NSA and the CIA trying to stop the truth from coming out. So, I'm sorry. Bear with me, George. Hopefully we can get this issue fixed soon. They claim they're going to HD, and hopefully we do that so we can broadcast the truth worldwide is what I do. This is worldwide. MNN.org. Come see me. Live free or die, baby. Caller, you are on the air.
Hey, what's up, man? How you doing?
Steve from Midtown. What's going on, brother? What's on your mind?
Yes, and also I got my friend on the phone with me also, so you got two.
All right, talk to me, brothers.
Yes. You know, we've been like watching your show and everything, and I think you brought up a lot of heavy pointers. And you also mentioned about, I know you have some technical difficulties and everything.
Yes.
And I think you have a feeling like they're trying to, you know, mess with the show, but, you know, or I say, you know, how MNN is with the studio, with the equipment.
I don't think it's really MNN. I think it's the outside entities, like the NSA, CIA, Secret Society, Skull and Bone.
Oh, they're the one that's controlling it? Oh, yeah, I know they do.
Yeah, they control any. They can break into any signal. This, you know, the new FEMA emergency alert signals. That's what
yeah,
they
they're
do.
testing that out now in case of when martial law is declared.
I have a FiOS cable system. I have over 1,000 channels. I checked every single channel, and the only channel that gets distorted is this channel. So you tell me, are they messing with the channel, or is it a MNN update glitch? I don't know.
Right.
Anyway,
So
what's on your mind, brother, before I let you go? You want to say something?
Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
anything you want to say, man?
No, man, you know, I mean, it's all right, you know, because the way things are in this world, we really don't know. Half of us don't really know what's going on, and the rest of us do know. So I would say, you know, it's very dangerous what it is that they're doing.
Absolutely. Hamid, Steve, I appreciate the call. These guys are well aware, well awake, and they want to know the truth. They hunger for the truth. And I beg of you, all of you out there, if you don't believe me, debunk me. Do your research. Try to debunk me. Look up everything I'm saying and try to debunk me. Next one. Next article. Government documents prove domestic drones are for spying on America. This is from Steve Watson at Infowars.com. A data dump of government documents secured via the Freedom of Information Act shows that the rollout of domestic unmanned drones, for the most part, will be focused solely on the mass surveillance of the American people. That's right, they are going to use drones, spy drones like you see them use in Iraq, to spy on us. And possibly, if a civil war breaks out, they will use the weapons capabilities on us as well. All right, we have a call. Caller.
Hi.
You are on the air.
All right, we have a call.
Yep. You mentioned them breaking into signals. I have noticed that happen with the show on Channel 35, Truth for Change. I don't know if you're aware that show comes on weekdays. I don't even know if it's still on, but it used to be on in the morning. You know, it's basically the same topics you're saying. And it seemed like when it'd be getting towards some of the heavier information, all of a sudden there'd be a signal break for a little bit, and we'd, lose continuity as to what was being said. So we're in strange times, and I applaud you for your courage to go on like that, because you got to realize that we're all being watched at the moment, and I guess they probably know which one of more of us know more than others, and so given all that's gone on with KBR and the camps they've built within the U.S. and Posse Comitatus being changed and all the rest, I don't know where we're heading, but there's certain things in place, as well as this NDAA or whatever it was that, which was an extension of Bush's Military Commissions Act from 2006, which basically got rid of habeas corpus, so they can really round us up now pretty good. But anyway, just keep fighting a good fight, man. And, guys like you got a lot of courage, and I appreciate it. Take care.
I appreciate the call, man. That guy is well-informed right there, and that's what I like to hear. Well-informed American citizens, or just basic human beings, wherever you're from. Because, like I said, I broadcast worldwide. I go out on the internet, I put it up on my YouTube channel, and I bring the word out. And let my people go. You Federal Reserve, IRS, evil banksters, let my people go and bring real sound money back to this country. Caller, you're on the air, real quick.
How you doing, buddy? I'm a first responder. Why don't I give my name, anonymous call? I was at the World Trade Center, and I know the deal where they use the chemicals to paint that steel. It brings it up 500 degrees more. Turmeric. You ever hear that?
Yes. Speak on, brother.
All right. I think the unions must have painted it by accident because somebody opened the buckets probably, or they knew it. I doubt it if they knew it.
Do you know that they had renovations 6 months before the collapses?
Right,
and
exactly.
And the renovation companies had links to Bush's and Bush's cousins. They owned those companies on the floors where the collapse started?
Yeah, that started from Bones and Skull.
Skull and Bones, yes.
I know the whole deal about that thing. Now, there's 8 people in the world that run that, and they tell the government what to do. And if they don't, they get a patsy, a guy that's nice, people respect, people they like, people that talk nice. Because they're going to get a tough guy. Because I tell you I'm going to hurt you, you're going to be rough with me. Now, if I'm a nice guy, that guy's real nice, man. Meanwhile, I could be in front of your door. I could be at your Y box or B box. That's in the backyard or yard box. I should do telephone surveillance. I know the deal. And now right there, I can see when you come out of your door and you think I'm in Florida. I'll put a Florida number in there.
That's right. What do you think about building number 7?
Number 7, I know about it. It took 7 seconds for number 7. 6 seconds for number 6. The first building, the tower, the South Tower that fell, took 7 seconds. Now that was a Control 4. My friends that were there, that were ex-cops, that are now retired, heard 4 explosions. Now, I dealt with dynamite and stuff and all kinds of, it's called rock, electrical rock. They put it around the beams and it goes, and actually cuts like a torch.
Yes, that's why they got rid of all the steel and all the evidence.
Yeah, exactly. And 4 days we heard, 4 blasts we heard. Those are columns. Now, number 6 building took 6 seconds.
Actually, buildings 4, 5, and 6 didn't collapse, and they were closer to towers number 1 and 2.
No building in the United States or in New York never collapsed. They fell over, never collapsed. Just, it was a controlled collapse. Believe me, I've seen them.
Hey, I appreciate the call. We're running out of time, brother. Listen, hey, I'll tell you you want to know the first steel building in history that collapsed due to a structural fire? I'll tell you the first 3. World Trade Centers 1, 2, and 7, okay? Look into that. Let's get into this next story really quick. We're running out of time. Got about a minute left. Fed court rules banksters can steal pensions. That's right. In a court case glossed over by corporate media earlier this month, the U.S. Court of Appeals 7th Circuit has ruled that individual segregated bank accounts may be turned into the property of a third party under circumstances of duress. You remember MF Global and John Corzine, Don John Corzine? Well, the word is on that, the head of J.P. Morgan called up John Corzine, said, you better transfer that money over to the London J.P. Morgan or I'm going to blow your head off. And that's what he did. So take your money out the banks quick, buddy. If you got segregated account, take it out, buy gold and silver. And I'll tell you why, because Jacob Rothschild, John Paulson, and George Soros are all betting that the financial disaster is coming. Are you willing to bet against 3 of the wealthiest men in the entire world? Jacob Rothschild recently bet approximately $200 million that the euro will go down. These billionaire hedge fund managers are betting that there's going to be an economic collapse. You got to believe it. All right, next story. Synthetic police are coming up. DARPA are basically engineering robots like RoboCop, and they want to implement Skynet. So watch out for Skynet. Also, BBC censors video showing Syrian rebels forcing prisoners to become suicide bomber. That's right, these so-called Freedom Syrian fighters are actually Al-Qaeda, and they try to force a guy to perform a suicide bomb on al-Assad. Don't believe that fraud. Let's not get into another war, because it's just going to be a big mess. And when, like Gerald Celente says, when all else fails, when the economic collapse comes, they're going to go to war to distract us. So don't fall for it. We're out of time. I love you all. Thank you for all the calls. God bless America. God save the Constitution. And if you have received this transmission, then you are the resistance. Ah!